Good morning, beautiful people. Good morning. Good morning. It is time for the virtual book club. How are you guys all doing? I am here this morning. I'm going to take this opportunity to share the video so we can get started and continue our lessons as it relates to money and relationships. So we are continuing with Dr. Boyce Watkins' books, which I will introduce in a second. Let me just take this opportunity to share this video. And I kindly request that you guys take the opportunity to share the video as well so we can get the word out there. Good morning, beautiful. How are you? How are you, beautiful? How are you? How are you? So let me just do this. Trinity, just give me a second. I'm going to share the video and we can go ahead and get started. Okay. Okay. Yeah, here we go. I have to get a little title. We continue with romance and finance. Yes, awesome. Good morning, Sakia. How are you? Okay, so ladies, especially ladies, as we get our men coming on, they'll come on in a second or two. Let me tell you about my little son. So Sage is here, as you guys know, because he doesn't have summer camp because school starts next week. So Sage is here. And this morning when my husband left to go to work, Sage was having a fit. I'm a little late today coming on because I had to take my time to help Sage regroup. And with me, it's all about cultivating the mind and elevating the thinking so we can activate our goals. And that's why the name of my business is Cultivate, Elevate, Activate. That's what it's all about. So he comes in a room and he's screaming and crying about daddy leaving. Dad, I don't want him to go to work. Daddy went to work. All this crazy stuff. So I said to Sage, do you like that Thomas train in your hands? He said, yes. Do you like that you get to eat pancakes? Yes. Do you like living here with mommy, brother, and sister? Yes. So daddy needs to go to work. That's what needs to happen. Daddy needs to go to work. And if you don't want daddy to go to work, you're not going to get a train and you're not going to live here. You're not going to like pancakes. Those things are not going to happen because daddy won't have the money to do that for you. So do you want daddy to go to work or daddy to stay home? He said, I don't want him to go to work. I said, okay, well, let's get rid of the trains. Let's get rid of Thomas the train. We're not going to eat any pancakes today because I want to show you what happens when daddy doesn't go to work. Daddy can go to work. I want pancakes with some strawberries, please. I was like, yes, 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 I love it. So why do I say that before we get started? I say this because everything we put into our children's minds matter. And we have to help our children not only to self-soothe, they need us to help them soothe when they get a boo-boo or there's a mishap in the family or their feelings are hurt and we need to soothe them. But there are times when we have to learn how to help our children to activate their own goals and to elevate their thinking and to cultivate their mind so they can be critical thinkers, so they can put into perspective things in this world and how it works. So we can help them to soothe themselves and calm themselves down without us having to coddle them. Especially our boys. We do a lot of coddling with our boys without us having to pick them up, coddle them, calm them down, sing lullabies to them. Come on, give me a break. Help them to think critically. There's a time to coddle your children, and there's a time to help them to think critically. There's a time to allow them to be free and expressive, and there's a time to help them manage their thoughts and manage their words. So I say all of that this morning to say I was a little late this morning coming on with the book club because I had to take that opportunity to teach my son not only to self-soothe, but to think critically so that we won't be acting on emotions so much and falling out and having a break. And a lot of our children have high anxiety. I see this as a clinician. I see this working in the field that I work into. A lot of our children have high anxiety because we are not doing an excellent job at teaching them how to cultivate their mind so that they can elevate their thinking. We are not teaching our children to be critical thinkers and to be able to calm down the emotions in order to think clear and make just decisions. We're not teaching them that. So then what do you think happens when they grow up into adults? They're monsters. They're little tyrants. They're little crybabies. They can't manage anything. They crumble in the midst of adversity. They can't take it if they're challenged with anything. We have to teach our children how to lower that anxiety elevate their thinking, to be critical thinkers, and to make the right decisions in life. So that's all I want to say before I go ahead and get started. Good morning, Rolando. How are you? I wanted to share that with you. That's a little clinical part of me because you guys know I am a clinician. So let's really get back into relationships and money. We are continuing with Financial Lovemaking, written by Dr. Boyce Watkins, merging assets with your partner in ways that feels good. Yesterday, we talked about debt. Yesterday, we talked about making sure your debt is in order before you get into a relationship. Yesterday, we talked about good debt versus bad debt. We talked about learning how to not be so impulsive with our shopping. And in order for us to get into a long-term committed relationship with someone, we really should be not only assessing their finances, that's a small part of it. It's important, but it's a small part of it. But assessing their relationship to money, their beliefs about money, and how they manage money. So we're going to spend a little bit more time today talking about that. And we're talking about the spendaholics. So this is financial body questions number 3. Do you spend like you have no common sense? Do you spend like you have no common sense? I know this message is going to resonate with some people who like to spend money like it's going out of style, but this is what we're going to be talking about today. When I teach personal finance, I love to use a particular term with my students. The term is spendaholic. I use this term because I see overspending to be similar to any kind of hyperindulgence, overeating, using drugs, or drinking alcohol. That's just to name a few. All of these things can be done in moderation, but there are some who do them incessantly, all the time, just spending like they don't have any sense. Americans have a horrible problem when it comes to overspending, mainly because our culture is driven by consumption, credit cards, and many other things that can put us into financial jeopardy. So people like to overspend. People like to just spend just to spend. People do not like to attach their conscious thinking with their spending habits. People do not sit down and assess themselves. They just operate out of emotions. If they like something, they're going to buy it. And especially the spendaholics. If you ever want to make some money, identify people that buy things just to buy things because they will give you your money because they don't have any discipline when it comes to managing their money. Good morning, Rolando. Good morning, Gwendolyn. I am not saying that you shouldn't spend. Spending is fun, and money is meant to be enjoyed in addition to being put into productive uses. The point is that most spendaholics spend beyond the point of satiation. The point of satiation is when you are satisfied and have all you need. So they spend beyond being satiated. They spend beyond their level of satisfaction. They just keep spending like somebody who keeps eating, right? Where they know they shouldn't eat anymore. That's what a spendaholic does. Spendaholics do not spend because they need something. They spend because they need to spend. The same can be said for overeating. When a person eats beyond the point of being hungry. Now, if you sometimes engage in meaningless spending, it doesn't mean that you are a spendaholic. So there are some people that just buy things that they don't need. Okay, cool. That doesn't necessarily make you a spendaholic because those people tend to know they don't need it, but they just want it. And they're going to treat themselves, but they have a plan. They have a plan of managing their money. See, a spendaholic doesn't know how to manage their money, just like an alcoholic doesn't. An alcoholic doesn't go into the bar and say, I'm only going to have one drink. It doesn't happen that way because they lack the discipline. They lack the discipline and their willpower is compromised. Their willpower is compromised. That means their ability to sit back and say, maybe I don't need another drink because I got to drive home. That has been compromised because they are addicted to drinking. The same is true to a spendaholic. Their willpower to stop themselves and be disciplined has been compromised because they are addicted to shopping, spending money, and getting things in their house that they do not need. It is only a concern if your spending continues to put you in situations that make you unhappy. So what kind of situations will make you unhappy if you are a spendaholic? Let's see. You're always stressed about not having money to pay your rent or your mortgage. Your car is being repoed because you don't have the money to pay your car notes. You don't have nice furniture, nice apartment, whatever the case is, because you use your money unwisely and you went to rent a center and you didn't pay that bill, so they came and took your furniture. Those are situations that might just make somebody unhappy. So Rolando is saying emotional attachments create an imbalance in our everyday lives. Self-discipline. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with 100%. Being a spendaholic can be highly destructive to financial love making. Financial love making. That is, being a spendaholic can financially harm your relationship to another person that you are intimate with, a person that you are trying to build with. So if you are a spendaholic, how might that impact your intimate relationship with your partner? That's what we're talking about today. It can destroy everything you work for, and it will lead to more arguments if your mate with your mate than you care to know. Therefore, it is critical to get your spending habits under control before engaging in financial love making. Engaging in financial love making as a spendaholic is similar to making love as a sex addict. I know Dr. Boyce Watkins, him and his analogies, but like I said yesterday, if you listen a little bit longer, it makes a lot of sense what he's saying. So here's the thing. This is how he refers to that. Your selfish acts, your selfish actions are going to always allow external factors to destroy the one-on-one relationship you have with your partner. So a sexaholic, somebody who was addicted to sex, they're really operating from a realm, a domain, an area of selfishness. That's how they operate. They're not really considering the impact it's going to have on their relationship when they do it. A sex addict doesn't really go out there to harm their mate. I want to make that very clear because you guys know I am a couples therapist. I'm a relationship expert. I am a marriage counselor. I deal with relationships day in and day out. So I want to make that clear, even though that might sit uncomfortable with some people because they don't really understand the phenomenology of infidelity. So I'm going to say this. A sex addict or somebody who's addicted to sex doesn't go out there with the intention of hurting their spouse. We're not talking about vindictive people. We're not talking about people that like to get people back. I'm just specifically talking about somebody who has a hard time controlling their sexual desires, right? They don't go out there with the intentions of hurting their partner. Yes, their partner becomes a casualty to their selfish acts, but it wasn't with intention. The same is true for a spendaholic. Somebody who is just comfortable spending money doesn't necessarily do it with the intent of hurting his or her partner. That's not how they do it. It's just because they are operating from a selfish perspective. They're operating from selfish behaviors that they're not able to see immediately how their negative actions are impacting their partner. Now, when arguments happen or their relationship is on the rocks or they get a divorce, that's when they might see, okay, maybe my spending was a little bit out of control. So basically what we're saying, what Dr. Boyce Watkins and I are saying, don't wait till it gets to that point. Don't put yourself in a situation to the point of destroying your relationship because you're undisciplined when it comes to your spending. We have to realize that our spending will impact our relationship. So we have to get those things under control. And if you are a spendaholic, I suggest you start following these tips right now to control your spending. So tip number one. Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Raul. Oh, my brother saying help me. Raul, big brother, are you a spendaholic? I had not known. So listen to this, Raul. I'm going to help you right now. I'm going to help other people like you as well, Raul. So here's number one. Consider becoming an investaholic. While going from overspending to saving is admirable, it's incredibly difficult. From going from being a spendaholic to a saving person is very difficult. It's challenging. The next best thing to not spending is to at least spend your money on things that are going to add financial value to your life. That right there is a golden nugget. Somebody hear me. Somebody hear me. He said, consider being an investorholic. So if you're going to be out there spending the money because you just spend, remember, spendaholics don't rationalize how they spend. It's not like they're sitting down like, oh, I got to go get this. Da, da, da. It's more like an emotional drive. It's more like a need. I need this. I need that. I want this. I want that. That's what it really is about. It really is about that. So what he's saying is, since you're going to spend your money anyway, just channel your spending in a different direction. Just start to think about the things that's going to add value in your life and put your money there instead. So consider starting a business or an investment plan that you can put money into. Start the business in something that you really enjoy so that it's pleasurable to you rather than a burden. Then, if you have the urge to overspend, put the money into your business. This is similar to someone who overeats, but instead of eating chips and cookies all the time, they overeat with vegetables and fruit. Sure, not all eating would be good, but eating healthy is the next best thing. So we know we have to do things in moderation. So basically what he's saying is, if you're going to spend it on things that can help you bring more money. And that's an excellent way of thinking. Become an investorholic. Put your money on things that's going to generate more money for you. Good morning, Kenny. Thank you for joining us. Number 2, remember, not everything that's fun costs money. Some of us, when we start to consider relationships or we get into a relationship, we think that we always have to spend money. So that's not always the case. Learn to find things that don't cost much money, if at all any money. And things can be fun. There are a lot of things that you can do with your partner that's not going to cost you a dime, especially if you are a spendaholic. Maybe going out once a week or once every 2 weeks is good enough. Once a month might be okay, but it might destroy your relationship. But my point is, take it down a notch. It doesn't mean you still can't have fun. There's a lot of things that you can do to have fun, but you have to learn how to discipline yourself and start searching for those things that do not cost you any money. I am not saying that you shouldn't ever spend money, but if you take a look before spending money on things that may or may not be worth the price, you might find that you can do without the thing you are about to give up next month's rent in order to purchase. So if you are in a situation where you have a spending problem and you don't manage your money appropriately, you might want to think about how you manage your relationship with that person. Don't just spend to impress somebody, because you're going to find yourself homeless. And if you're homeless, that person's not going to want you. Now, maybe a man might take a woman in if she's homeless. I know this all the time because I hear it all the time in my counseling sessions when I ask how did they come to move in together. Usually she fell on hard times and he moved her in and all this other stuff. Great, fine, and dandy. But that's usually not the best reason to move in with somebody. And a lot of people get themselves in relationships where they haven't really taken the time to assess the partner that they are dealing with. They haven't watched them. They were in dire straits, whether they didn't have any money, they didn't have a place to stay, they didn't have a car, and so they got into a relationship out of convenience. That's not what you want to do, especially if you have poor financial management, because what you're going to do is place stress on your partner, and eventually that relationship will end. Okay, not for everybody, but I know I'm talking in broad terms, but this is more true than it is false. Okay, so let's go on. Number 3, keep the money out of your hands. So if you are a spendaholic, keep the money out of your hands. The only way that money can burn a hole in your pocket is if the money is in your pocket in the first place. A recovering spendaholic with too much cash is no different from an alcoholic who keeps a bottle of vodka in the back seat. Ain't that deep? Dr. Boyce, Watkins, where do you get these things from? But it's true. If you are trying to recover from being an alcoholic, are you supposed to be around alcohol? I mean, come on, we know this. This is AA 101. Change people, places, and things. You are not supposed to have no alcohol around you. If you are a recovering addict or if you're a recovering drug addict, you should not have drugs around you or be around people who are still indulging in drugs. It's the same thing with a spendaholic. You see, if you got spending problems, why would you hang out with people that like to ball out? Why? That's when you have to become disciplined. That's when you have to detach yourself from people, places, and things and say, you know what, let me sit this one out. Especially if you are trying to pursue a relationship with someone, especially if your relationship is on the rocks because you have a problem spending money. If you know that spending money has gotten you into more problems than it has saved your life, you shouldn't be around people that do the same things that you're trying to get away from. So basically, you have to learn a different way of being. You have to learn how to be disciplined and know that you have a problem. The first stage is acceptance. I mean, come on, we read my book. We read transforming pain into possibility. The first stage is acceptance. You have to accept the fact that you are a spendaholic. You have problems spending. Don't put that on your mate. If your partner is telling you, you need to stop spending money like that, learn to listen. Stop being so defensive. That's what alcoholics do. That's what sex addicts do. That's what spendaholics do. They become very defensive. And as opposed to receiving feedback, as opposed to looking at themselves and doing a self-inventory, they start to attack and pull away, thus ending their relationships. So if you know that you have a spending problem, take heed to that. Keep the money out your pocket. Make it very inconvenient for you to get money. Don't walk around with your debit card because your debit card is like the same as cash. You can use it almost anywhere and get money almost out of any ATM. So we have to be cautious of these kind of things. Keep money out your pockets and do not allow yourself to use your credit cards whatsoever. Number 4, make some notes. I'm going to say take some notes, but he says make some notes. That's fine. One day when you are bored, it don't even have to be when you're bored, but this is what Dr. Boyce Watkins says. One day when you are bored, sit and write down exactly how much money you earn every month. Has anybody else done this besides me? I do this all the time. And I know my husband, I call my husband like, babe, we need to have a money conversation. We need to sit down and examine our finances so we can see where we are. We are halfway through the year and we need to survive another 6 months. So we need to see where our money is at. And he's so cool with it. Maybe because he's an accountant. I don't know. But don't think that all accountants are disciplined because they're not. My husband, he's a recovering spendaholic. Y'all know I'm transparent, babe. I love you, but you are a recovering spendaholic. You are learning how to discipline yourself, and I love you for that. But my point is, you have to sit down and make notes. Try to do this once a month. Try to do this once every 3 months. Get in the habit of doing this consistently. After that, write down all your bills. After you write down exactly how much money you make, I want you to write down all your bills, including your rent, utilities, car notes, internet connections, the cable bill, child support, charitable contribution, getting your hair done, life insurance, health insurance, and any other bill you may have. These bills are the things that you have to pay for the upkeep of your life of living, right? You need your car because you have to get to and from work. You need to pay your rent or your mortgage because you need to not be on the street. You need to pay your utilities so that you can keep your lights on and so that you could be able to cook food. You get my point? So these are the bills that you're going to write down that you have to pay no matter what. You have to pay your life insurance policy no matter what. You have to pay your health insurance premiums no matter what. If you have a savings plan for your children, I hope you have a college savings plan, a 529. They cost whatever you put into it. Don't you walk around this earth with children under 18 and don't got a college plan for them. But I digress. You have to make those payments. Those are all the notes that you have to put down for your bills after you put down how much money you make. The next thing you're going to do is subtract the amount of money you pay in bills from the amount of money you earn and study the difference. So after you write down, I bring in $3,000 every 2 weeks. That equates to $6,000 a month. All my bills in total are $4,000 a month. I have $2,000 a month left over. I want you to study that difference. This is how much money you waste every month if you are not saving. So if you make $6,000 and your bills are $4,000, you waste $2,000 a month if you are not saving. So if you are going to spend that money frivolously, at least make some investments. Put it in a business, put it in a stock account, put it in some Bitcoins if you choose to. Whatever the case is, if you are going to spend that money regardless, you might as well spend it by shifting your spendaholic ways into becoming an investaholic. All right, so let's go on, and we're about to log off. Let's go on. Let's go. Oh, that is it. Oh, I ended the topic for today. That's about it. Oh my God. Oh my God. So that's awesome. So basically, that's where I'm taking you today. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Then take the total of all income, the total of all your income minus the bills, and divide it by 4. This is approximately how much money you will waste every week. I was working with a lady who came to me for counseling, an independent person. She was wondering why a lot of the relationships she was getting into were ending. They were criticizing her. They were saying that she had poor money management. One guy actually said that he saved her from drowning and he is not going to be her life support anymore. And he dropped her like a bad habit. And no matter what we talked about in counseling, she could not make the connection. So one day, because I'm one of those therapists that you're gonna love, but you ain't gonna like. I'm one of those therapists that are going to push you to uncomfortable edges and force you to jump off. I'm just one of those therapists. So I said to her, bring in all your money. She didn't want to bring it in, but eventually she did bring in all her bills. I'm not your money, bring in all your bills and your pay stubs. That's what I asked her to bring in. And I made her write down what she made and all her necessary bills. And then I had her bring in all her receipts. So what I did to her, I did this over a course of every week. We went over it every week so that she won't lose focus. So every week, since I already know what her monthly bills are and I already know what she made every 2 weeks from her job, so I know what she made every month, I had her bring in every week to the counseling session her every receipt that she spent. She could not throw away any receipts. And to back it up, she had to download the app to her bank and we would go over her bank statements just in case she forgot or didn't want to bring in a receipt. We can see how she spent that money, including ATM withdrawals. That's when she realized that she was a spendaholic. That's when she realized that she was actually harming her relationships. She was getting into relationships with people, and because she made a good salary, she thought she was bringing something to the table. But baby, if you don't know how to save money, what you bringing to the table? If every time you turn around, your partner has to bail you out, you ain't bringing nothing to the table. Your job is not enough to say what you bring into the table. The quality of who you are as a person determines what you are bringing to the table. It is how you manage money determines what you are bringing to the table. It is how you treat people that determines what you are bringing to the table. It is how you dress and how you carry yourself that determines what you are bringing to the table. It is how you show up in the midst of adversity and challenges that determine what you bring to the table. So the only thing you are assessing what you bring to the table is your degree and your income, you are sadly mistaken, because we have to be wiser how we are getting into relationships with people. We have to start to manage our relationships with people from a different perspective. It's not about your degrees and it's not about your money. It is about what you are bringing to the table, the quality of who you are as a person. And if you are a spendaholic, that is not an admirable quality to have. That is something that you have to get under control, because spendaholics ruin relationships all the time. People with bad financial management ruin relationships all the time. People who have bad credit stress out relationships all the time. People who have high debt stress out the relationship all the time. People who owe money to everybody and their grandmother and grandfather stress out relations all the time. So your quality is not how much money you make or how many degrees you have on your wall or in your drawer, because I don't have degrees all over the place, but that's just me. But I mean, I have a lot of degrees, but I don't put them up and like, oh, this is my degrees. But anyway, my point is that is not what makes you a quality person. It's your mind and your behavior as well as your heart that makes you a quality person. So if you are a spendaholic, I suggest you get it under control. So anyway, guys, I love you. That's all we have for the virtual book club today. We will pick up on money and relationships tomorrow while reading Financial Love Making, written by Dr. Boyce Watkins. I love you guys so much. And do not forget, September 29th, I will be speaking at the All Black National Convention when we are all about changing lives through strategic planning and economic collaboration. Because if you are only marching, you are going to be in the same situation 50 years from now. It is about taking action and being collective and being around people who want the same thing that you want. So if you are interested in that, get your ticket. It is as low as $49 a month. Pick somebody you can share a room with, split the room rate, get an Airbnb, no excuses. We can all be there in Louisville, Kentucky at Smith College, an all-black university, and let's make this happen. I will see you guys tomorrow with the virtual book club or virtual book club. Be blessed and take care.